Figure 5.7 DoWhileTest.java. In this example, we use a simple command line application to demonstrate the syntax of the do-while repetition statement, which you can see here at lines 10 through 14 of our example. Now, before we look at the syntax this time, I'm going to just go ahead and run it to show you that this example outputs the numbers from 1 to 10, which will be the values of our counter control variable. Let's go back and take a look at the source code. Inside of main, we've declared our counter control variable as the variable counter, which is initialized to 1. And what's different about the do-while repetition statement as opposed to the while or for repetition statements is that it is guaranteed to execute its body at least once, whereas the for and while repetition statements may actually not execute their bodies at all, depending on the value of their loop continuation conditions. So after creating the control variable and initializing it to 1, we're going to flow sequentially into the body of the do-while loop, which starts with the do keyword. Notice the body is delimited by curly braces, which, as with most of the other control statements, are only required if you have 2 or more statements in the body, but we recommend that you always use the curly braces on the body of a do-while so that you can help distinguish it from a regular while repetition statement. In our case, we're going to print out the value of the counter variable, and then we're going to increment the counter so that eventually our loop continuation condition will be false. And now we've already executed the body once before we even get to the point of testing the loop continuation condition. So in the while part of the do-while loop, we specify that condition indicating that we'd like to continue executing as long as counter is less than or equal to 10, and then the semicolon is required as part of the syntax of the do-while repetition statement as the termination of that statement. If the condition is indeed true, we'll come back to the top and flow again through the body, and when the condition becomes false, in this example, we'll print out a new line character. Now we have a nice diagram that we can show you that illustrates the flow of control through the do-while statement. What you're looking at here is a UML activity diagram. The UML, or the Unified Modeling Language, is a standard graphical language for modeling object-oriented systems, and the activity diagram is generally used to represent the flow of control through a system. Here we're using it to represent the flow of control through an actual control statement in our code. Now the solid circle symbol at the top here represents the initial state, which is just prior to us entering the do-while loop. We have a so-called transition arrow pointing to a diamond symbol here, which represents a merge point, and we'll discuss that again in a moment. And from that merge point, we are flowing via another transition arrow into the action state, which says display the counter value. This represents the first statement inside of our do-while loop's body. And we've also hung off the left side here what's known as a UML note, which you can use in any UML diagram to annotate the diagram. The dashed line is used to connect the note to a particular symbol in the diagram, and in this case we're using it to show you what the code was that was being executed as a result of this action state that says display the counter value. After that first action state completes, we transition to the next action state, which is to increment the control variable, and you can see here what the increment is. And then we flow from there into a decision point where we have so-called guard conditions on the two arrows that come out of that decision point, and those guard conditions say that if the counter value is less than or equal to 10, we want to follow this transition arrow back to the merge point up above and flow sequentially back into the display the counter value action state. On the other hand, if that condition is false, the other guard condition will be true, counter greater than 10, and will flow into this bullseye looking symbol, which represents the so-called final state of the diagram. And that, for us, in the case of a do-while statement, would mean the next point in the program where we will continue executing sequentially after the do-while statement terminates.
Looking to advance your career by acquiring new skills? Tired of expensive off-site training programs? Wish you could learn from the best instructors in the industry? Look no further than live lessons. Self-paced, personal video instruction by the world's leading technology publishers. Each live lesson comes with a DVD featuring 3 to 4 hours of instructor-led classroom training, sample program code that allows you to work along with your personal instructor, and an example-rich study guide. Live lessons allow you to watch the entire course from start to finish, or navigate directly to any of the individual lessons. You'll literally watch over the shoulder of your instructor as he shows you how to build state-of-the-art applications. Live lessons, the power of the world's leading technology experts at your fingertips. To learn more, visit mylivelessons.com today.